Hey there, it is Dani Valent with you, host of Dirty Linen. I haven't done one of these for a while, but every now and again I do a little thing on Fridays called Friday on My Mind. What is occupying my little brain space on this fine day? So here are some things that are on my mind. The first one is autumn in Melbourne. I just love this season. I love the produce. I love the gleaming afternoon light. I love the change of seasons. It is so beautiful, the changing colours. I love chestnuts. I love mushrooms. I love pumpkin. I'm sad to say goodbye to tomatoes, but I did make some passata this year, so I do have little bottles of sunshine in the cupboard to enjoy. Have you subscribed to the Deep in the Weeds newsletter? We put it out every fortnight. We're having a lot of fun making it, writing it, getting it out there. We've got competitions. We've got things there that you will not read anywhere else. So please hop onto any of the podcast socials and you'll find a link to subscribe to the newsletter, or just head to deepintheweeds.com.au and sign up there. We would love to get into your inbox as well as into your ears. So it's not all about autumn in Melbourne, fine. I have been to Sydney recently and went back to one of my all-time favourite restaurants, which is Fratelli Paradiso in Potts Point. I just love it. When I first started going to Sydney by myself as a little grown-up, Fratelli Paradiso was one of the places that I went, usually for a morning coffee because they were open in the mornings then, maybe a pastry, maybe for a lunchtime bowl of pasta, and felt like I was really in the thick of it. Hanging with the grown-ups, learning how to be a proper restaurant diner. It's such a consistent restaurant. At the moment, the head chef is Trisha Greentree, who we recently chatted to on Dirty Linen. It was a wonderful chat. I really appreciated her insights, her perspective on all kinds of things, but one of those was being a woman working as a head chef in a very in an institution such as Fratelli Paradiso, how she was balancing the different demands on her time and her thinking. But yeah, I just really appreciated the beautiful food, lovely pasta with nettles through the dough and a cacio e pepe filling, a ravioli. That was probably the most memorable dish, a special. They have lots of specials there. Also love the crumbed olives. It's just a really classy restaurant and a lovely place to while away an afternoon or an evening. Something that has been very big for me over the past couple of months is a series I've been doing for The Age Good Food called Eat Streets. I'm always eating my way all over Melbourne, but this was particularly epic, where I surveyed 5 neighbourhood streets at all points of the compass. We made videos to go with them, and I wrote stories about each of the streets, the culture that supports the restaurants, ate myself silly all over town, probably like 12 to 15 restaurants on each street. So we'll not pretend that I had a 3-course meal or in each of them, but yeah, had a lot of snacking. I guess, something that struck me while I was doing this over and over again was just the remarkable endeavour that lies behind so many street frontages in, cities all around the world, for little towns, country places all around the world. Just the incredible ability that people have to create their own world, to craft an experience the way that they want it, simply between 4 walls. It's actually so amazing when you think of it, that you push through a door and you're in someone's vision of what a craft beer bar should be. You push through a door and you're in someone's vision of what a neighborhood Italian place should be. You push through another door and you are in somebody's version of a Jinjang kebab place. It's, you know, they're all pretty much focused completely on independent businesses, solo operations, like standalone restaurants. And yeah, just the heart and soul in all of them was incredibly moving. And yeah, it was a privilege to do it. So that's an ongoing column, and look out for it. And also, if you've got a street that you reckon should be featured, let me know. So I thought I would just talk about a few places that I've recently eaten at and written about. I'm doing 2 restaurant columns a week these days, which is a little bit crazy. One's in Good Weekend magazine with the Saturday Age, and the other one is with the Sunday Age. They both turn up on at the Age, on the Age website, on the Good Food section. So one of them was Sebastian Kakigori. This is a Japanese dessert bar. It's the Melbourne version of Sebastian, which started in Tokyo, and the chef is Hiroshi Kawamata. What can I say about it? It's so crazy to me that they are importing ice from Japan to make these shaved ice desserts. Now, I think it's kind of terrible because we've got water here and freezers, but apparently the way they do it is actually more economical than it's done in Australia or the US, where they also export some of this ice. I don't know if that's true. I do have misgivings about that side of it, but the actual creations are really amazing. The spectacular signature dish is the creme brulee kakigori. So there's layers of different textures of ice with like cream threaded through them, custardy cream, and then there is a sugar layer, and then that is blowtorched. So you are blowtorching ice, and you end up with a dessert that you can eat. It's an experience. You watch them make it, and it's it's pretty wonderful. It's a confection. It's an interlude. It is something to do for half an hour with a friend. It's a fun place. So that is Sebastian Kakigori, and it is in Queen Street in the city of Melbourne. Somewhere else that I thought it would be nice to chat about is Charlong, which is in St Kilda. That is a new Thai place. It's really good. I love it. I love the endeavour and the fact that it's a business that's run by 2 women. So Alex Q and Sarah Pinsaman are doing everything themselves, all the curry pastes, all the spiced sausages. I know how hard things are in hospitality these days, so I was really interested in how they thought they were going to make it work. I was really heartened to have a long chat to Alex and realise that she had a master's degree in marketing and business, and that she'd kind of developed her own master's degree in chefs and restaurants by working at all kinds of different Asian kitchens around Melbourne. I just think she's it's really strategic, which is excellent, because I think opening the doors and just hoping is not going to cut it these days. But yeah, the food is really nice. I guess the dish that stood out most to me was a dumpling dish. So we've chatted before on this podcast, and it's definitely a conversation out there in food media and the food world generally about the Asian food. It's hard to charge more for Asian food. So where Italian ravioli is prized, you could charge, I don't know, $38 a plate for it. It's really hard to charge the same amount for a plate of dumplings. Why? There's as much skill and artistry involved. It's basically well, it's racist, isn't it? So what I loved about what Alex does at Charlong is she does some king prawn dumplings with a sort of spin on caviar that's actually made from tapioca that's been dyed with dark soy and squid ink. These dumplings are actually inspired by Melbourne pasta restaurant Tipo 00. So I thought that was really interesting. They're very deluxe king prawns, this caviar riff, and they're bathed in a lobster head bisque that's hot and sour like tom yum, but it's enriched with butter. It's really clever, really luxurious, and I should actually have the price in front of me. I don't, but it's a closing argument on why dumplings should never be considered cheap food. There is just as much going on as there is in anything else. I also thought I would love to highlight a restaurant in Footscray, which is called Patacon. It is, as far as I know, the only Venezuelan restaurant in Melbourne. It's owned by Rebecca Hurtado, who came here as a student and then applied for refugee status and is now happily a permanent resident of Australia. This is her... she wants to bring Latin culture and cuisine to Australia. And so although the menu at the moment is mostly Venezuelan, she's expanding it. She has a Colombian chef and they're bringing in dishes from other parts of Latin America, which is so exciting. It's colourful. It's fun. The dish that I probably was most excited about was the patacon, which is a shareable platter of crisp fried plantain layered with braised and pulled skirt steak. You could also have it with chicken. There's all kinds of salady bits in there, cheese and lots of different salsas. It's very shareable. You would not be able to eat this as a solo diner. Good luck if you try. But yeah, it was really great. I also learnt about the Venezuelan style of arepas, which unlike the Colombian style that I've had more often, which is just like a little corn cake flat with a topping. The Venezuelan style of arepas is this cornbread, but it's filled like a pita and it is stuffed all the way full. Really interesting. Okay, so finally, I was really loved listening to Ronith Arlikatti on Deep in the Weeds recently. He is the chef at the just opened Hopper Joint in Paran in Melbourne. I was really chuffed to learn that the connection that took Ronith to this job was... this is a bit roundabout, but bear with me. Okay, so in lockdown, when I was chatting to all kinds of people and cooking a lot of Indian food and basically obsessed with the subcontinent for much of lockdown. Some people did sourdough. I did uttapam. But I was chatting to Ronith on Instagram and he said, I've made my grandmother's lemon pickle. I'd love to give you a jar. So I met him, just parked my car in our masks. We did a handover of lemon pickle. I put it on my Instagram and apparently Jason Jones, the owner of Hopper Joint, saw that and started chatting to Ronith and he ended up becoming the chef of Hopper Joint, which is actually Sri Lankan. I thought, well, let's check it out. As it happened, Ronith wasn't working in the restaurant that night, but I found out later that we were both eating there. I snuck in and out anonymously, which I love. That was awesome. I would have said hi to Ronith if he was there, but he wasn't. So, but I realised later that we were fellow diners. So I thought, we better have a chat about that. Let's see what we thought of Hopper Joint. So I'm going to bring Ronith in now. Welcome to Dirty Linen.
Hi, Dani. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
How was your meal?
It was really good. And it's so good to see the progress that the team has made since we opened.
So what's your thinking behind sitting down in your own restaurant? Is that something that you try to do?
Yes, for sure. So I always encourage my chefs and even when I was a junior to make it a point to eat in the restaurant I work at. And this is obviously after I've started working. because it really shows where all that hard work and effort goes into. And it's quite rewarding to see once you actually experience the whole meal.
I mean, I imagine as the head chef, it must also be pretty, I don't know, like, I mean, you know every detail that's going on in this restaurant. Like, can you just relax into the dining experience, or are you just obsessing over every detail?
It's a bit of both. I try not to stress too much on the small details in the plate and try to experience the whole meal. It is a bit hard, I'll be honest, because whenever I see the food going out, I can see what needs to be fixed or what could be done better. But overall, I think the experience was quite close to what I would like my customers to experience.
And were you, I mean, where were you sitting? Because I imagine if you were watching the kitchen, that would have been not only stressful for you, but not so great for your chefs.
Yes. So the manager at the time made sure I'm facing away from the whole restaurant and the kitchen. So I don't have to look at what's happening behind me. And I focus on the table and enjoy with my guests. So that was a good recommendation, because that kind of helped me to focus on the table and the meal and not really look back at how the kitchen is doing. Are they okay?
So I was there too, and I was looking out for you. I was like, okay, he's having a night off. That's fine. The team, I thought the team was really good. What would you like to ask me about my experience?
Just in general, like, because it's a new concept and a new cuisine, how did you find it, and how's the entire experience of eating with your hands?
Yeah, well, overall, I would say it was a great experience. I mean, I love Sri Lankan flavours, so I was, all about that. I thought it was really nice because I suppose it's a different setting for Sri Lankan food. A lot of people that are coming are probably not Sri Lankan and might not be that familiar with the cuisine. So I thought it was really cool the way that the menu introduces what it's all about. From I suppose, thinking about both sides of the hospitality experience, I thought it was very cool that everyone has to have a hopper set. So everybody is given 2 hoppers. So these bowl-shaped rice flour, fermented pancakes, one with an egg inside and one that's plain. And then they choose 2 curries. So I thought that was really cool. Just from a consistency point of view from the restaurant side, knowing what people are going to be ordering, but also from a customer point of view, it's like you have a bit of choice, but you're very much steered through the experience. Eating with your hands, I love that. I'm fine with that. I did see on some of the socials around the openings that there was a basin of water or something that went around where people were able to wash their hands. And I was sort of waiting for that. And then I thought, oh, well, my hands are pretty clean. I think I'll be all right. But maybe I should have gone and washed them.
Yeah. I think the basin you saw was actually in the center of the restaurant. So that is where people were actually going to wash their hands.
Ah, okay. Well, I reckon, so the servers, the waiters were fantastic, but they didn't tell me that. So maybe that would have been nice for me to know.
Okay, noted down. And also it's kind of a very cool attraction, I feel, in the center of the restaurant, which has the incense sticks, and it kind of gives you that South Asian, Sri Lankan home essence around the venue. And that's just in the center of the venue with the hand washing basin around.
Interesting, because I was brought in, it was just me by myself, so it's just table for one, please, and I was seated right in the window, so I didn't really want to wander around the restaurant too much. But that would have been nice to be, I suppose, encouraged to explore a little bit and appreciate all the different features of the restaurant. What notes did you have about the food?
With the food, I had just a few notes in regards of a few garnishes and just a few fussy things. Me being the chef, I want to put 3 chilies on the prawn curry because it says 3 chilies on the menu. It's really spicy and stuff like that. Minor details, but it was also a few specials on, which I didn't know about. So my sous chef had some specials on, and which was very good. And I immediately thought of a few tweaks that I could do to have it on the menu, because as the season is changing, we are going through a menu change as well. So just a few notes about that and what can be replaced, what curries will work and what won't work for winter, stuff like that.
Interesting. And what two curries did you choose with your hopper set?
Uh, I chose the okra and pork. We actually had 4 people on our table, so we kind of all chose different curries, and that makes up for all the options on the menu. So we kind of tasted from each other's bowl, which is how we usually eat in Sri Lanka or in India as well.
Interesting. I was so close to ordering the okra and the pork because I love okra, but then I thought I would have the blackened pineapple and the pork.
Yeah, those two are, so okra, pineapple, and pork are my favorites right now, and I think you made the correct choice. It was pretty. It's a unique curry because the pork is not really a curry. It's a dry curry. That's what they call it, and just cooking it in the right way so that it's tender while it's dry curry is kind of what we were working on, and I feel we've achieved that. So achieved a good texture on the pork now. So it tastes really good, just spiced up and as a dry curry. And we use the pork neck, which is quite tender when you cook it well, and then after adding your marinade and stuff, it's even better. And and then we decided to garnish it with some house-made chili oil, because we have this chili sauce which has a lot of offcuts of the chili, which usually would go in the bin, but then I'm repurposing that for a chili oil.
Yeah, that was actually really good because I loved. Yeah, I mean, so you tear up your hopper, you use it to pick up bits of the pork or bits of the pineapple, but then I was also dipping my hopper into that chili oil because it had that spice which I loved, but it also had the spices from the curry as well.
Yes, you had it the right way, because that's how we enjoy the hopper. And then if you want a bit more rounded out flavor, you dip your pork into the egg yolk, and it kind of adds a new dimension to the flavor.
Yeah, it was great with the egg yolk. How does it feel for you to sit down and eat at a restaurant that you've built?
Um, it's actually quite rewarding, I would say, because I've seen the place since it was under construction and the kitchen being fit out, and since it was a new kind of format for a restaurant. Because I worked in traditional restaurants and I worked in French restaurants, so like a French brigade system, which is quite standard around the kitchen industry. So if you work in one of them, you can work in many, like any other restaurant with a similar setup. But this was completely different to setting up in terms of. So if I hire someone who has worked in a French kitchen, he should know how to work in this kitchen as well. So that was the slight challenge which I was facing. But then it's all like seeing it all coming together and everything going by the flow that we've planned was actually quite good to see and rewarding.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I mean, one thing I found really interesting is that, the structure where everybody orders this hopper set. It's $45.90. How are you finding that from a costings point of view?
I think it's quite good, quite more well priced, because in terms like for making a curry, it's pretty hands on and there's a lot of labor involved. So mostly having that balance between the labor and because we're using the lesser cuts of the meat, the cost of the actual ingredient is slightly lower. So that kind of balances out the whole cost of the thali, and it works for like it works for us and for the business because even though we're spending more money on labor, it's kind of balancing out with the lesser food cost.
And what about that consistency, like that that each diner is going to spend at least that much?
That actually helps us because that way we can understand how much the diner will. So even if we go by that price point, we can kind of push for the specials or kind of create more dishes which could work before or after the meal, and then encourage diners to enjoy that as well. But then if it's only that much per head, we also like the business also generates income through that, and then it's a faster turnover, so it kind of works both ways.
Yeah. And so it's no bookings. How's that working?
The no bookings has been good. It is still something we are having a discussion about. I don't know if I can say much of what the changes are going to be, but as of now, it's been a bit chaotic on the weekends, obviously, because not chaotic, but mostly a very long wait time for some of the customers when they come at the peak hour. And that is something that we want to kind of address so that we can accommodate as many people as we can. So, yeah, it's been like we know when we are going to get hit kind of in terms of the walk-ins as well. So it frees up the spot for people who want to have dinner early and don't want to wait. They can come in early and get a guaranteed a table. But then if you're having your dinner around the 7 p.m. mark, which is usually most people, there's usually a wait. So we've kind of have got a system where we get people to the bar, have some snacks, and then they can just go straight to the hopper set. So working out on a few methods to make it more accessible to more people.
Yeah, interesting. I guess you're always going to be making adjustments once a restaurant is open. I've got to say, Ronith, like I love the fact that you sat down and ate the menu. I think often in restaurants you can tell that chefs haven't done that, where, I don't know, there's always things that happen, like they present something that you're supposed to eat with your fingers but you just actually can't, or you're 3/4 of the way through a tasting menu and you're like, no human can eat this much. So yeah, definitely applaud you for getting there and sitting down, and probably smart to have your back to the kitchen for them and for you. But
yes.
Yeah.
And definitely, like as much as I do try not to make the notes, I made a few notes and we'll be addressing the team about what we could do better, and always there's always room for improvement and making the food better and more consistent. And yeah, all my friends were don't judge them, don't do this. But then I had to make a few adjustments in terms of so while the specials were sent to me, I was like, okay, we can do this better, we can do this, and just a few mental notes and then address the team about it.
Yeah, fantastic. Have you had that discussion yet?
No, not yet. The team starts a bit later in the day, so I just do my notes and then we go through a briefing process.
Okay, and how do you feel about that? Do you feel like, are you nervous about doing that, or does it just feel natural?
I think it's quite natural, and the team respects what I ask them to do. And the one thing I want to commend is the team that I've hired. It's the first team I've hired in my career, and they've been amazing and just super supportive, and they love the food. They love the food they're cooking, and they love the ideas that we have. And they've been incredibly supportive, and they want to do this. So it's been really helpful for me because I can make the adjustments that we need, and they just listen to me.
I love that. Well, I'm really excited for you and for them, and yeah, can't wait to watch the restaurant develop. Thank you for being so open and sharing with me today, and yeah, good luck with that team briefing.
Yes, thank you.
All right, catch you soon.
Yeah. All right, Dani. Thank you.
Oh, that was so interesting. I've never had a chat like that before. When I realised we were both eating in the restaurant at the same time, I thought, we've got to get this on the pod. Let's just do a little quick one. So, yeah, super grateful to Ronith for coming on for a chat. So that is what is on my mind this Friday. I hope that you have a great weekend. If you're working, hope it goes well. If you're dining out, enjoy. And yeah, just enjoy all the marvellous experiences that are available to us as diners. We will have a newsletter out in the next couple of days, so make sure that you're subscribed. Simplest way to sign up to the newsletter is to just jump into the show notes on your podcast app and sign up there. If you don't get around to that, you can always do it at deepintheweeds.com.au. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinenat.deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This